I met a guy that I really like. His name is Austin. We've been dating for about 7 months now. We really hit it off and things were going great. We decided to move in together because it made sense financially and we believed that we'd love living together. At first, we did. However, I now know why people say you never truly know someone until you live together. There's a few things that he does that drive me crazy. First of all, he hates to clean. I know the same can be said for a lot of guys, but Austin takes it to the next level. I've gone on him several times about doing the dishes. Instead of washing them, he'll try to be sneaky and throw away the dirty dishes altogether so he doesn't have to clean them or hear me complain. He claims it was an accident, but I found my mugs in place in the trash multiple times. He threw away my favorite mug that I got from Disneyland because it had caked on cereal on it and it would be hard to clean. To me, that's just next level lazy and makes no sense. The next thing I caught him doing that blew my mind and disgusted me at the same time is when he plays video games in the living room and instead of going to the bathroom, he'll just pee in an empty bottle and then screw the cap on and leave it there. He's never done this in front of me, but I'll find bottles full of urine sitting on the counter by the couch because he can't even dispose of them on his own later. The bathroom is literally just a few steps away, but I find bottles full of pee all the time. Not only is it gross, but it's highly unsanitary. However, this isn't even the worst of it. Part 2. I can't stand my boyfriend after moving in together. Throwing away my dishes and peeing in bottles is pretty lazy and gross, but not as bad as the next problem, and it's a big one. In the bathroom, after he goes number 2, sometimes he'll throw his used toilet paper in the trash can instead of flushing it, causing the bathroom to reek. He'll also throw used wet wipes in the trash can as well for the ultimate sewer smell. It grosses me out so much and I can't believe he does this. Sometimes when I'm working overtime and haven't gotten a chance to clean as much as I'd like, he'll just keep adding onto it until it topples over and falls on the ground. Oh, and he leaves the toilet seat up each and every time. He also can't cook, throws his things around everywhere and won't pick up after himself, and rarely takes out the trash. I've tried to talk to him multiple times about these issues, but he seems to just brush it off and it keeps happening. He acts like I'm being a pest or I'm the annoying one when I bring up these issues. We have 3 more months on our lease together, but I'm already looking for a way out. I'm not sure if we should live separately and continue dating or if I should just end it. When we weren't living together, I was so happy and even thought for a second that he could be the one. I really like him, but I don't think I could ever live with him again after this. Do all men live like this? Am I being overdramatic? What should I do? One of the craziest and most chilling stories I've heard is about Christopher Dunch, aka Dr. Death. He earned that nickname because most of the people he operated on ended up severely maimed or dead. Out of the 38 people he operated on, he left 31 of them seriously disfigured and even killed 2 of them. In one instance, Dr. Death accidentally operated on the wrong part of a patient's back, leaving the patient in excruciating pain. Dr. Death, being the nice guy that he was, offered to give the patient a second operation to fix it. I don't know about you guys, but there's no way I would ever let this guy near me again after making a mistake like that. However, this patient gave him the green light, and this time he botched the surgery again, leaving the patient paralyzed from the waist down. In another patient, he cut a ligament that shouldn't have been touched, screwed in hardware in the wrong spot, and stripped the screw so the hardware couldn't be removed. An assisting surgeon was so disturbed by Dr. Death's actions during this operation that he had to physically restrain him to prevent him from causing any more damage to the patient. He may have been under the influence while performing the surgery. Dr. Death even maimed one of his close friends that came in for an operation by removing tons of muscle tissue, leaving his friend a quadriplegic. Other surgeons in the area that attempted to fix his botched surgery stated that he messed up some of these people so badly, it almost looked like he did it intentionally. A fellow surgeon accused him of being a crazed maniac and claimed that he was trying to decapitate one patient after severing his vocal cord, slicing a hole in his esophagus, cutting an artery, and embedding a surgical sponge in his throat. Despite all of this, hospitals continued to hire Dr. Death and his rampant of insane botched surgeries continued. I'm just scratching the surface and highlighting some of Dr. Death's story. Luckily, there's a new series based on the true events streaming now that I've been binge watching. Tune in and stream Dr. Death on Peacock TV to hear about what happens to Dr. Dunch and his other patients. The tea is piping hot and there's a lot more to be spilled. A few months ago, my boyfriend Blake and I went out to brunch with some of our friends. After a few mimosas, my close friend Jackie started talking about how she's been making a lot of extra money lately by making content on OnlyFans. A few of the other girls in the group started talking about it and asking Jackie about how much she's making off of it. Blake chimed in after a while and began asking Jackie a bunch of questions as well. He asked her what her content is like and how many videos she's made so far. At first, I didn't think anything of it because I was a little curious too. However, then he started to get a little too interested. He started recommending certain things she should do in her videos to sell more and get more people to watch and subscribe. This was the first red flag. He then asked her what name she came up with or what she goes by on OnlyFans, which to me sounded like he was trying to find her account to check it out later. I gave him a dirty look and he caught on quick and stopped talking about it. I felt a little uncomfortable and planned on talking to him about it later, but I ultimately decided to let it go because I thought I was being insecure. A few weeks later, we hung out with Jackie again when we went downtown with some friends. At one point in the night, Blake asked Jackie about her OnlyFans and how it was going. She smiled at him and told him that it's going great. I also noticed throughout the night he kept staring at her for long periods of time. After that night, I was suspicious and decided that I was going to do some detective work. Needless to say, I couldn't believe what I found. Part 2, I found out my boyfriend subscribed to my best friend's OnlyFans. When I got home, I went to Jackie's Instagram page and immediately noticed that Blake was following her, which he hadn't been before. This definitely got me thinking. I knew it was wrong and an invasion of privacy, but I couldn't help myself. I waited till Blake was asleep and I went through his phone. I came across a conversation with his coworker about Jackie's OnlyFans and my heart dropped. I went to his browser and opened the OnlyFans site, and not only did he have an account, but he was still logged in. I went to his profile and immediately saw that he was subscribed to Jackie's OnlyFans. Not only that, but he was sending her extra tips frequently as well. When I confronted him about it, I couldn't believe his response. He said it was just like watching adult videos and I shouldn't be be mad at him for something like that. He continued saying that all guys do it and that he didn't see a problem with it. I was so mad I left for the night and called my friends, including Jackie, on a group call to tell him what happened. They all agreed with me on how weird and not okay it was and encouraged me to leave his ass. Jackie also said that she had no idea he was following her and that she was creeped out by it. However, when I asked some of my other friends, they thought it wasn't a big deal and agreed that all guys look at that kind of stuff. I decided that it was too much for me and I ended up breaking up with Blake. However, he's been messaging me non-stop to take him back and getting my other friends to agree with him. I know all guys look at stuff like that, but to me this was different. Did I overreact? Should I have given him a second chance? I met my girlfriend at a party one night. She seemed like a total daredevil type of chick who grabbed life by the horns. The night I met her, she jumped off of the roof of the house into the pool. This instantly caught my attention and I was immediately attracted to her. I quickly took my shot and started talking to her. We got along really well right off the bat and things started heating up quickly in no time. We would go on adventures all the time and it was great, until it wasn't. We've been together for 8 months at this point when I started questioning what was really going on. There were multiple times when we went on an adventure and I felt like she almost got me killed. At first, I thought I was being paranoid, but over time, it became more of an occurrence on her part. For example, we went hiking on a rocky and dangerous trail with a huge drop-off. If anyone fell off of the side, they'd definitely be toast. At one point when I was making it across, she ran up and tried to push me. Thankfully, I saw her in the corner of my eye and ducked so that she'd miss, but I was shocked. She started laughing and acting like it was a huge joke. I was genuinely terrified, but I moved past it because I thought she had a dark, twisted sense of humor. There's no way she'd actually try to push me, right? Well, my theory was definitely solidified when we went hunting together. She has expertise in this area as she grew up doing it, but I've only been a few times. At one point, she literally aimed the rifle at me from afar. When I yelled at her to stop and started freaking out, she had the craziest smile I've ever seen on her face. It was almost like a switch flipped. I really thought she was going to go through with it until another hunter in the area heard me yelling and came to see what was up. When she realized someone else was around, she quickly changed her aim and once again laughed it off like it was a big joke. After this, I knew I needed to get away from her and end the relationship. However, most of my things were still at her apartment and I didn't know how to go about it because at this point, I wasn't sure what she'd do. Part 2, I think my girlfriend is trying to unalive me. I borrowed her apartment key while she was at work and quickly grabbed all my things, including my laptop that I had let her use for school. When I got on it, I was shocked at what I found. There were a bunch of websites I didn't recognize, but after visiting them, I was terrified. She had frequented websites that included a lot of gore and death. From what I could tell, she was particularly interested in acts of torture and so on. She had even Googled different ways to make unaliving someone look like a complete accident. Additionally, there were also Google searches for how to fake certain emotions and empathy. Shortly after going through all of this, I got a text from her asking where I was and why I had taken all my things. I wasn't sure if I should go all in about the things I thought or if I should play it cool. I had a bad feeling that this girl was dangerous and I didn't want to just let her think that she was safe to keep doing these things. I confronted her and told her about everything I found. I also told her what I think she's been doing in our relationship. At first, she tried to defend herself and once again act like it was all a joke. However, when she realized I wasn't buying it, she got angry. That's when she started spewing threats and told me that she should have pushed me off of the cliff on our hike. After this, I started ignoring her texts, but she kept blowing me up. Her texts were getting even more aggressive. I decided I'd deal with it the next day and went to bed. However, at 2 a.m. I heard banging on my apartment door. I could tell that it was her. I could hear her angered breathing behind the door and she wasn't leaving. I called the police and had her arrested for harassment. That's when I also made a police report about everything I had found and turned it over to the police. The last time I saw her was when I was granted a restraining order against her in court because she started stalking me. The judge also sentenced her to mandatory therapy after all the evidence was brought forth. Ever since then, I've moved far away and I always watch my back. I've been dating my boyfriend for a year. We matched on Tinder originally and he sparked up a conversation with me about my career field, which is in the funeral business. I'm a licensed cosmetologist who prepares deceased people for their funerals. It might sound weird to some, but I enjoy my job and it brings me joy to see the family's reactions to my work. It also doesn't bother me to do makeup on deceased people. My boyfriend's always been supportive and interested in my career. I always thought he was just a sweet and supportive person. We would always talk about my job and my clients. He always asked me specific questions about how people look and what it's like when I'm touching them or doing work on them. I was always happy to answer his questions and talk about my work with him because it was nice to have someone who was genuinely interested. I also have a portfolio with before and after pictures of work I've done on my deceased clients with their family's permission, of course. My boyfriend asked to see these pictures, but I never showed him or anyone else besides potential employers because I felt that 1, it was disrespectful to the memory of the person and their family, and 2, because it was unprofessional to do so. Originally, my boyfriend respected me when I told him my reasoning as to why I wouldn't show him, but over time he's gotten more and more agitated about it. It slowly came up more often and it was starting to make me question why he gets so upset over this. However, a month ago, he stopped bringing it up and asking about it. One day, when he was sleeping and his phone was out, I had the craziest gut feeling to go through it. I had never done it before, but I couldn't shake this feeling. I finally gave in and checked his photo album. I was shocked to find that he had gone through my portfolio and snapped pictures of it. I woke him up in anger and confronted him. This is when he broke down and admitted that he was into necrophilia. Things only went downhill from here. Part 2, I found out my boyfriend is into necrophilia. When my boyfriend broke down and admitted it, I was shocked. Everything from our first conversation up until finding the pictures on his phone all made sense in a different light. He explained that me being a mortuary cosmetologist is what drew him to me in the first place. All the conversations we had about my job and experiences further fueled his fantasies and made it all more realistic. He also enjoyed that I didn't mind being around deceased people. He admitted that he thought eventually he might be able to get me to roleplay in the bedroom with him and give him a realistic taste of what it would really be like. As he said all of this, I could see and feel the excitement slowly radiating off of him. I'm not one to shame people for what they're into, but this just creeped me out. I think he could see the terror on my face because he quickly tried to change the topic. However, it was too late. Knowing all of this knowledge now, I couldn't turn a blind eye and it wasn't something that I could accept. I grabbed his phone and wiped the pictures. Then I told him that I needed the next few days to myself. He gathered his things and left. However, he spent the next few days blowing up my phone with apologies. They started out sincere at first, but when I didn't reply, they got more aggressive. He tried to shame me for not being an open-minded person and accepting of his interest. By the end of the week, I told him our relationship was over and his actions were unforgivable. He continued to pester me for a while after that, but eventually backed off when I threatened to out him to his friends and family if he didn't leave me alone. Story time about how my sister and I got stranded in the middle of a lake. My dad was really sick from short bowel syndrome and was going to be in the hospital for a long time. One summer, he was having surgery, so my sister and I went to stay with our grandparents. They lived near a lake and we'd always go tubing with my grandpa. One morning, he asked my sister and I if we wanted to go on the boat. On the way there, he warned us that the currents would be a lot stronger than what we were used to, but my sister and I would swim all the time, so we weren't too worried. When we got there, we would always go to the beach area first to swim, and then we would go to the middle of the lake to tube and swim in the deeper parts. The currents ended up being stronger than what we thought, but it wasn't really concerning, so we put the anchor down in the middle of the lake and started having a great time. This is when my grandpa decided to jump into the water too. However, instead of jumping off at the front of the boat like my sister and I were doing, he jumped off at the back and the current started to pull him away. My sister immediately jumped into the water with a rope to try and get him, but he had already drifted away. I tried to flag down other boats for help, but it took about 15 to 20 minutes before anyone came by. Thankfully, this man and his son came to our rescue. The son got on our boat to try and get us back to the docks while his dad looked for our grandpa. Later, we found out that our grandpa had died from a heart attack in the water and there was nothing we could have done. Our grandma couldn't have us around afterwards since she was going through the loss of our grandpa. We ended up staying with some random family members that we didn't even know. It was all unexpected and our dad was the most broken up about it since he couldn't attend the funeral. It took a long time for my grandma to heal, but the funeral was beautiful and we were really thankful to those kind people who helped us on the lake that day.